Hey all, Bill Greenberg with PhoneScholar.com. Today is Monday, January 17th, 2011, and happy Martin Luther King Day. Great man, great American, and someone to definitely celebrate. So here's a preview of what we got on the website today. For all the full articles, please go to www.phone.scholar.com and blog questions at PhoneScholar.com. Here we go. Now, I have two articles here. Normally, it's part one and part two, and a lot of the companies will put one part one day, one part the next day. I don't do that. I put them both on there for you so you don't have to wait. And it's about the upgrades and the 4-year upgrades. And now, since most of the new phones that I've been talking about recently are going to be coming out with the 2.2, here's what's going on. Just talk about some of the ones that are not specifically, but just to let you know. Which manufacturers can you trust on Android upgrades? And this is by J.R. Raphael, who writes for Android Power. Great article, and I copy him a lot. And basically, these are for phones that were released in 2009 and 2010, since the 4-year was released in June of 2009, and had updates through the end of 2010. Now, some of these phones, like the Nexus 1, took only a couple of days to get all their upgrades. Some took weeks and months, and some we don't know when they're getting them, like the Galaxy S. So this is only for the big four carriers, and there's a lot of other factors, but you got to read the rest of the article to get that. So here we go. Who was number one? HTC. 50% of their phones got upgrades in only 56 days. So they are really committed to this, and they are doing a great job. Motorola, 15.4% of their phones, which is a little bit skewed because a lot of their big phones came out at the end of the year, so they didn't get a lot of time to do it, but still, only 54.5 days. So they didn't do a ton of rollouts, but what they did was really terrific. Samsung, 11.1% and 159 days, which for a company that size, that large, to me, that's kind of unacceptable, but hopefully they're working on it. And then Dell and LG had 0 rollouts, and they didn't have a whole lot of phones, but they did announce that possibly the Dell Streak is going to be getting it, the Ally, LG Ally, so we'll see. And then there was Sony Ericsson, who only put out one phone and didn't have an upgrade, and they have no idea if they're doing an upgrade or what it is. So that's what it is with the manufacturers. Now here's part two, the carriers. Which carriers can you trust? And as it's going with everything right now, it's pretty much in line. Verizon Wireless. 33% of their available phones did get the upgrade, and they only took 58 days to do it. So terrific job, Verizon Wireless. Next was Sprint at 28.6%, which was great mostly because of the Evo, but they still took 100 days to get their rollouts out, so a little over 3 months, which is a long time to do that. T-Mobile, 12.5% in 112 days, and AT&T, out of the 9 Android phones that they had for upgrade, 0. They didn't have one upgrade on their phones. They said supposedly again the Dell Streak should be getting it. So they took 0 days because they had 0 upgrades. So, and with them losing the iPhone and them being that far behind on the Android, it could be some tough times for AT&T. Now, a lot of you are asking, why is this so difficult? Why are they having such a problem? And there's so many different answers. But the number one answer I seem to get across the board when I've talked to people about this is that since Android is pretty much an open developers platform and the carriers kind of develop them the way they are, it's not a standard upgrade like you would think of with computers or anything like that, or even the iPhone or the iPad. Each upgrade is specific to each phone, and so they just can't send out a general upgrade and do that. So it takes longer, and that's why it takes so long to get some of these rollouts. But when you got HTC at 50% and Verizon at 33%, and those are two of the largest manufacturers and carriers, it can be done, obviously. So hopefully they'll get on the ball. Next, Apple to give away $10,000 iTunes gift card as App Store nears 10 billion downloads. And back in April of 2009, after only 9 months, they hit 1 billion downloads and gave a 13-year-old kid the $10,000 iTunes card with a Mac Pro and an iPad Touch. They haven't mentioned anything about that, but I will give you the heads up. They're expecting around January 23rd. So for a couple of days before, you may want to go app crazy and download everything you can, see if you can jump the gun and get that. If you are one of my listeners and you do, or watchers, and you do get that, please let me know. Send me a note, send me a picture, send me a video, something, and I'll put it on, okay? Lastly, Apple CEO Steve Jobs to take medical leave of absence. You know, I'm going to start off with saying I hope everything works out fine. I hope everything is great, Mr. Jobs. I hope you come back strong as ever. Whether you're a fan, whether you're not a fan, whatever it is, he is a tremendous man and done some tremendous things. Now, he did take a leave of absence in January of 2009 for the cancerous tumor in his pancreas, which turned out to require a liver transplant. And he did stay in touch with everything, and as of now, he is going to have strategic decisions and remain with the strategic decisions. But Tim Cook, the COO, the guy that's always on the stage with him, is going to take over the day-to-day operations. Now, heaven forbid the worst happens, that could be a trouble for Apple. And everybody's saying, well, no, that won't happen. The company set up, everything's good. But when your main driving force, and look at Microsoft since Bill Gates left, while everything was set in place to do that, it still has had a lot of problems and has the stocks not done well. Circuit City, there was someone named Rick Sharp who basically in the early 80s took the company from nothing to huge. Once he stepped down was the beginning of the end. A lot of other companies when that main driving force. So Mr. Jobs, I hope everything works out for you. I hope you come back healthy and strong and you keep the company going because you do have some great product. That's all I got for you today. Have a great day. I will see you tomorrow.